Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alan again with DustyHikers.com. Today what I wanted to talk to you about was this amazing trek that my son and I did in Peru called the Ausangate trek, Apu Ausangate. There's 4 reasons I want to talk about today why you should consider going on the Ausangate trek if you're planning a trip to Peru. It's not the most popular trek, and you'll also find a lot of information online that says that it's super difficult, but we had 3 children in our group, so it was 2 families. We had a 9-year-old girl, a 10-year-old boy, and an 11-year-old boy, and all 3 of the children were able to get over all of the passes. So the fact that people say that it's super difficult, I don't agree with that. I think it is really high elevation, and so I think that you should prepare for hiking at super high elevations. You can check out this video that I'll link up here where I talk about the training that I did for getting ready for this, and I didn't have any problems. I mean, it was difficult, yes, but you know, if you're walking around at 5,100 meters, it's going to be difficult even if you're in amazing shape. Alright, so the first reason why I loved this hike, and I think my son did too, was because there are very few hikers. It's really remote, and it's not the most popular hike in Peru. But I would say this, the guides that took us on this hike, they're busy enough that they often turn down requests to offer their guide service. But whenever someone wants to go on the Ausangate trek, they said that they never turn it down because it's a really amazing, beautiful experience. There were other groups of hikers some had guide service, some didn't, that were kind of, you know, mirroring our itinerary around the mountain. But on the trail, we would almost never see these people. We would see them once we got to the camp, so probably because they left before us or after us. But there would be just hours of walking in this just amazing landscape where you would not see another human being. Or if you did, they were probably locals that were herding the alpaca. So that's the number one reason why I love this hike. You know, no one wants to go on a vacation on a hike and find yourself, you know, in just a train of humanity or waiting at switchbacks because there's so many people on the hike. And so that's what, you know, this was pre-pandemic as well. So, you know, it was peak season in Peru. We did go to Machu Picchu, obviously, and there it was just an absolute zoo. It was completely packed full of people. And then, you know, a week later, we were in Ausangate and there was nobody. So that's my number one reason why I love this hike. The second reason why I really loved this hike was because it was challenging. So it is challenging, but the reason why I loved it is because even though it's high elevation, it's not super steep. The steepest pass that we had to get over was Palomi Pass. I'll put a note here in the video so you can see what the name of the pass is. But that was like 5,000 meters, and it was relatively steep. That was day 2, but it wasn't so bad that there were switchbacks. And my son and I, he had a cold, so imagine a 10-year-old with a cold was able to get over this pass. It's, you know, it was relatively smooth walking all the way up. And the other passes were even less steep. So on the first day, we went over passes that were 4,800 and 4,850 meters, 2 passes, and it was just very smooth walking, just a gentle, gradual slope to get over these passes, which is way better than, you know, being at 5,000 meters and then walking straight up. That would have just probably crushed all of us. But as the way this trek is, you're able to experience super high elevation hiking in Peru without your thighs burning so bad that you have to stop and continually take breaks. My son and I used the rest step often, especially when we got to higher elevations, and that kept us moving forward without you know, killing us. The third reason why I really love this hike is because it offers amazing views. I mean, absolutely breathtakingly spectacular views. And if you search this hike on the internet, that's what a lot of people will say, that it's like the most amazing hike that they've ever been on. You'll see that, or the best hike in Peru, or absolutely spectacular views. I mean, you've got these just amazing, pristine, high alpine lakes that are different colors. You can see the Rainbow Mountain. So we didn't do the Rainbow Mountain it's like a detour that you have to do. We didn't do that. The guide said that it's kind of underwhelming, and so we decided not to do it. It adds a day typically to your hike, to your itinerary. But you can see the Rainbow Mountains from the trail anyway that goes around the mountain. There are glaciers all over the place. So the second night we slept at the base of a glacier. And that's the other thing that I would say about Ausangate is that it's cold. So prepare for cold weather. You need really good gear. So make sure that your guides have the stuff that you need to go on this hike and to be warm. And then, the other part of the spectacular views is just the wildlife. So there were vicuña, which are these camelid, alpaca sort of looking creatures that are brown, that are, traipsing around. We wouldn't see as many of those, but they're absolutely majestic. And then, of course, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of alpaca. Some of them were semi-domesticated, so you would see locals that were out herding them, but some of them were just kind of free roaming the place. On the first morning, we saw an Andean fox that came into our camp, which was a really good morale booster for the kids who had all frozen that first night. And he had a small tether around his neck, so I think he had been slightly domesticated. But he came and played with the kids for a little bit and looked for some handouts from us, and then scampered away and disappeared. There's also just the peaks themselves. These snow-covered peaks are just absolutely breathtaking. And often, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, when you're hiking around a mountain, you can't actually see the mountain. When you're doing this trek, you can see the mountain all the time. And that's another thing that I absolutely loved about this trek, is that you get these just absolutely breathtaking views of these snow-covered peaks of the Ausangate. And then the last reason why I loved this trek was because, and this is a weird reason, it's very personal, but there weren't any Incan ruins. And I know you're gonna say, what? You're in Peru and you didn't want to see Incan ruins. Well, the fact is that we stayed in the Sacred Valley as we were acclimatizing for this super high elevation hike, and we saw every Incan ruin that we could possibly go and find in the 10 days that we were there. So it was nice. It was a nice change of pace to not have to go and look up the name of this palace and figure out which king or ruler had built it and all of that. It was nice to just be out in nature in Peru at super high elevations and just let the majesty of nature be the focal point instead of trying to figure out, which kingdom or which emperor this fit into. If you're interested in reading more about our experience hiking Ausangate and some of the other reasons why I really love this hike, you can go to Google and Google, is Ausangate trek worth it? And then just type in dustyhikers.com in the search and you will find my blog post as the first spot. If you find this video useful for planning your trip to Peru, please hit the like button. That will tell YouTube, that will tell YouTube that this video could be useful to somebody else that is also planning a trip to Peru. All right, thank you for your time. I hope this video was useful to you. Please consider subscribing. I'm uploading every week on our experiences in hiking and trekking around the world. Thank you. Bye.